Let's see what the affirmation is. I am expecting great things right now. If you and I could expect great things right now, always and everywhere, our lives would be completely different. The events may not be completely different, but the way that we would feel about them would be completely different. And that is the crux of the teaching. The teaching is not about changing the manifest world, although that sometimes happens. The goal of the teaching and the understanding of the faith is to allow us to express the divine that is within us, and not only to express the divine that is within us, but equally as important to see the divine in others and in the environment around us as a reflection of the divine. So the divine is everywhere present, and what the founders of this faith said was that we can't be fooled. We can't misunderstand what we believe to be the facts when we look out and see the world or see the behavior of someone else, or look at our own lives and say, why is this way, or why is this not the way it's supposed to be? Because the way it is supposed to be is already there. The truth is there. The truth is always present, and the truth never changes about you, about the universe, about God, about anything. I've told you so many times about a friend of mine that I had back when I was in college, and he was a great guy, and he was a lot of fun to be around, but he also was the most opinionated person that I ever knew in my life. So he had an opinion about everybody and everything. And if his opinion was good, then he was happy about it. If his opinion was bad, then it was bad, and there was no changing it. And one of the things that used to happen in those days a lot, we used to go out, and we'd go out on Friday, Saturday nights, so you'd be planning to go out. It didn't matter where we planned to go or what we planned to do. 90% of the time, he would say, I don't want to go there because I always have a bad time when I go there. I don't want to go there because I always meet terrible people when I go there. I don't want to go there because the food is awful. I don't want to go there because, and all of this thought process was there from the very get-go. He was a great part of our group, but we just didn't pay much attention to him. We just went about our business, and we went and did what we wanted to do because we knew what we wanted to do, because we were going out to have a good time, and we knew where we wanted to go to have a good time, and we were all of like mind. Even he was of like mind. He just didn't know it, but he had had all these ideas about these places. He really did. And if we think about ourselves and our own lives, in many cases, we have things that we think and we expect of people and circumstances and events and places that are there, ideas that are there for all kinds of reasons, but not necessarily there because of the truth. And the question today is, what am I expecting? What am I expecting? What am I expecting in every moment of every day, in every way? What am I expecting in the people that I see, the people that I meet, the places that I go? What am I expecting? Because you and I are expecting something. And the fact is that whatever you expect is likely going to be what you experience. Let me say that again. What you expect is likely to be what you experience. That's always the case. And part of that is that there is a thinking. There are actually two thoughts in New Thought that are kind of figurative ideas. One is that we are projecting. In other words, that we are projecting from our consciousness out, and all of the things that you and I are experiencing in our lives are projected from our own consciousness and thinking. And then there's a school of thought that says everything is a reflection. So we're reflecting. And so that whole concept, either one of them, a little different twist on the same idea, is that it is coming forth from us and going out. And what goes out, what happens to it? Does it just keep going? It comes back. We have a quotation this morning. Wherever you go, there you are. And wherever you go, you're taking the same old you. Now, the same old you is magnificent and good and great, but you're also taking the same old you that has the negative ideas and the critical ideas, like my friend back in college. That issue of whatever, we are expecting something everywhere. Those of you who are mothers and raised children, and how many times did you go home with the kids or something, when you left the kids at home and you went home expecting something, whether you expected it to be good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. And the expectations so often became self-fulfilling prophecies. Because why does that operate? It operates for two reasons. First, this issue of attraction, the reality that we attract. We attract. Why do unhappy people always attract more unhappy people? Because usually, and what we know scientifically and clinically from psychology and sociology and studies that have been done over and over again, is that people who are negative, unhappy, and miserable are not people that happy people want to be around. So very often we don't want to be, if we're unhappy, we want to be around unhappy people. If we're suffering, we don't want somebody to tell us you're okay. We want somebody to tell us, yeah, you are. You're suffering. It's terrible. It's bad. So this idea, this expectation, we have expectations every day in hundreds of ways, over and over and over again. How many of us have had negative experiences in the workplace or with our neighbors or friends, someone around us that we just don't get along with? And every time you have a thought of having to meet that person or come to that person's acquaintance, your thought is, oh my goodness, this is going to be terrible. And you know what? It's terrible. It's terrible. One of the fundamental things we do in counseling, both New Thought and from a psychological standpoint, is when people tell me that they're unhappy about their job or their life or their home, one of the things that I talk to them about, and it's nothing unique, it's very universal in both New Thought and in affirmative psychology, it is to begin to work with those people and say, what if you begin to think differently when you go there? What if you begin to think differently? And the people who are willing to do that begin to think differently, and you know what? They become happier in their jobs, or happier in their neighborhoods, or happier in their families, not because the people around them changed, but because their expectation changed, and because that expectation changed, the way that they felt about the circumstance or situation changed. And then there is an absolute clarity and a positive experience that comes out of it. What are you expecting? What do you expect? And our expectation sets the stage for how we respond and react to circumstances and situations. If you in your life have an experience or a place or a responsibility or something to do where you begin to have a negative expectation before you ever get there, or if you have an expectation that you've allowed to become a rut or a habit in your life, then that's a little red flag, and it's an opportunity for improvement. It's an opportunity to say, wow, maybe I should look at this, my expectations. The affirmation today, I am expecting great things right now. If you were going into a meeting with somebody that you just despised and hated, and that you always argued with and fought with, what if you had that on a piece of paper or a card? What if you wrote that down and it was right in front of you? What if you thought that and thought that and thought that and thought that and said it? What's the idea behind affirmations? It is not to change your way of thinking in the conscious mind. It is to change your way of thinking in the subconscious. What if an hour before you just said, okay, I'm going to be a neutral, I'm going to stop the negative, I'm going to stop expecting anything, and I am expecting great things right now. I am expecting great things right now. And you said that and said it over and over again as many times as you needed to, wrote it down, had it in front of you, had it on a piece of paper, had it on a card, whatever it was. Then as you walk into that room, you say, I am expecting great things right now. And you walk over to that conference table and you sit down, and when you sit down, you say, I am expecting great things right now. And you look at that person right in the eye, and you say in your mind, I am expecting great things right now. I bet things are going to be considerably different. I bet they are. Even if the person isn't that much different, the way that you approach the situation is different. Because what happens is we cut off the creative flow of infinite intelligence and limitless answers to every circumstance, every problem, and every perplexity when we allow the negative aspects of life to short-circuit that creative power. The creative power of God will guide you and direct you to the right answers, the right things to do and say, but most importantly, that divine presence will always allow you to see the divine in everyone else, even the worst, even the most terrible. And therein lies the crux of the Christian faith. Therein lies the crux of this teaching, and that is the understanding that this divinity, this idea of being divine, is not anything that belongs to any one person or one group. It is universally present. It is like the air. It surrounds us. It surrounds us and permeates us and is so accessible to us. But we believe what we see with our eyes and hear with our ears. We believe what people say, we believe what we see, and all of that is colored by things that we have nothing to do with. It's none of our business. What is our business is to understand that they are as divine, as good, as wonderful, and as positive as we are. And if we don't see them as so, then we're allowing ourselves to expect less of them, but also expect less of ourselves. And what do we expect of ourselves? We expect ourselves to be an expression of the divine, to allow the presence of the Christ mind, the infinite intelligence of divine mind, and the presence of God to come forth into the world. That's what Jesus did. All he did was live a very simple life, allowing the divine love and presence and tolerance and understanding and forgiveness to come forth to everyone he spoke to in every environment he ever found himself in. He didn't see anybody differently. He really didn't. He saw everyone as the same because he saw in everyone the reality and truth that everyone was a child of God. And he saw the world as a wonderful place because it is a place that's created out of the foundations of creation for us to experience those things that we need to experience in this human life. And if you listen to what he said and what we know, what little we know that he said, he had little to say about the world. He had little to say about the physical world around. Lots of bad things going on, but he didn't have much to say about that. He didn't have any expectation except that the presence and power of God could come forth from him to other people, and then that presence that came forth from him went out from him, and that's the only reflection that he saw back of anyone else or any other circumstance. And so this reality of this reflective life and that life of expectation is so important and so fundamental to the teaching. So wherever you are, I am expecting great things right now. The good news is that you and I can change our lives anytime we want to. The good news is that your subconscious mind can be reconditioned. The good news is that your conscious mind can call forth positive and affirmative thoughts that will guide and direct you in the ways that you should go, the thoughts that you think, the words that you should speak, and the deeds that you should do. And that those words, thoughts, and deeds can be reflective of the divine and infinite intelligence that dwells within each one of us. And it has nothing to do with you or me. It has to do with the presence and power of God and the reality and truth of who and what we are, and whether or not we're expressing who and what we are. So this week, go out, and every time you expect something bad, just be conscious. And, the idea of these questions is to use them during the week. And what I'd like you to do more than anything else in this question is to become conscious and aware of how much you do expect in life and how often you are expecting and your expectations are there. And every time your expectations are there, you are putting in motion the law of attraction, and you are creating right there as you send out that expectation.